May I request all of you to upload, share, and tweet your experience with the hashtag TalQuest19 and, of course, InstaHire. So I request all of you to do that in the course of the day and share your experiences. Well, talking about the masterclass, before I call upon our host for the masterclass, I'd like to remind you guys that we have cue cards kept on every table. So for any question that you all have to ask the speakers of the masterclass, you can put it on the cue card and the volunteers will collect it from you. Also, there are rocket badges that a few of us are wearing today. They are from the TalQuest team, so they'll be more than happy to help you for any doubts and queries. And we will firstly begin with 2 sessions, after which we'll call for a short break. The time of the break will be announced immediately after the break is commenced. We request all of you to kindly adhere to the given timelines. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome the man who is going to take it over from here, the one and the only Mr. Rajeev, who is the Chief Product Officer at TalView. Can we welcome him with a thunderous round of applause?
In Sanskrit, there's a word called guru. Guru basically means gu is ignorance and ru means dispeller. When you look at that 1 hour of presentation that we just saw, who would say talent acquisition is simple, right? It's already complicated and it's going to get more complicated as time goes by. There are a bunch of inputs coming our way which is totally different from what we've seen in the past, and it's up to us to ensure that we are ready for it. And this wave is powered by the digital tsunami, so we can't stay away from it, otherwise we'll just get wiped over. So without, and Sanjo has set a good context of the entire Insta hiring process that we believe is key to unlock the possible silver bullet that is needed to handle the challenges that are coming our way in the years ahead, right? And we had a good insight from Karen as well. So without further ado, let me just start the masterclass session. Arguably the most differentiated customer event that you might have gone to as far as talent acquisition is concerned. We are very excited when we put this entire thing together. We hope that some of that positivity comes off on this group as well. So let's start a little bit from the basics. Let's run a little, maybe rewind a little bit into what Sanjo said. In most things that you buy, there are 2 or 3 things that are very critical, 2 or 3 vectors that are critical. One is cost of what you spend to buy it, the time that you take to buy it, the user experience itself, and finally the quality itself. Now, if I put all of these things, 3 things together and 4 things together, and we did a bit of research around it before we came to the point of deciding that speed was the most important, is that the speed is the one single lever that impacts everything else. And this slide pretty much amplifies that. If the most relevant or the best job seekers that are available in the market are available for a very short window of time, it obviously means that unless your process is fast, you are unable to be able to catch those good quality hires. Time is anyway directly proportional to cost. The greater the time that you take to do a process, the greater is the direct cost. And in case of hiring, there's a bunch of indirect costs as well. The cost of not having the right hire in place, cost of replacement, and so on and so forth. And third is user experience. And one thing that came out strongly from Karen's presentation is that we need to stay relevant to the generation that's around us. And the one point that defines the generation around us, while the negative aspect of that is stuff about time span, etc., is that this generation absolutely, without any debate, is an instant gratification one. So you need to be able to gear up to provide that gratification even here. It's not just about things like food or hailing a cab or whatever else that's happening Insta using a mobile. But I think everything else, including hiring, needs to be Insta. And that's the reason why we believe that time to hire is the most important metric that we need to track. And that's the most important problem to solve, because if we solve that, the rest of it. And we're not talking of incremental time to hire saving here. We are talking of exponential time to hire saving. And that's what Insta hiring is all about, and that's what you will start seeing in the masterclass. And just to kind of set things right, I don't think we should, while it's termed as a masterclass, it's not really a masterclass. It's more like a 101. Right? It's a 101 on Insta hiring. What are the various components of the entire talent acquisition cycle that you can enable using the Insta hiring lever? What are the ways to do it is what we will go through in the next couple of hours. And mind you, we obviously hiring you, as you just saw, is such a vast area. There are so many complexities that we will not be able to cover everything in the couple of hours. We're just trying to put top of mind stuff that could impact time to hire. And how are we doing? It's rather very simple actually. The silver bullet is actually a very simple bullet. We're talking of three things. The RAR. We are all used to the RAR, the rewards and recognitions. HR is typically used to RAR that we constantly use for that. This is a different RAR. This is an RAR that impacts talent acquisition in a big way. Remote. Can we do anything that we're doing today in talent acquisition in a remote way? Can the candidate do that process remotely? Can the recruiter do the process remotely? Can the hiring manager do it remotely? Can we do things that can ensure that the people that are involved in the process can do things remotely? That's point number one. At every aspect of the process, whether it is sourcing, whether it is screening, resume screening, whether we're doing assessments, video interview, or even onboarding as well. Second is automate. I think automate is almost hygiene today, right? Just like maybe a couple of decades ago, someone would say that we are a technology-powered company. No more is technology enough. Technology is already hygiene, right? So we have to get into, we are entering the age of the automaton. Everything is robotic, everything is automated. There is no point saying that, hey, we don't need to automate, because I don't think there's a choice. We have to automate, there's no option. And it's not that we are doing it out of choice, because it's going to really impact your end result, which is your time to hire, which is the single most important deliverable that the TA community can provide to the companies that they work with. And the third is reuse. This is one lever that we have not been able to use much in talent acquisition. And I'll go a little bit deeper as we get into some of the master classes. Right? Reuse is a critical aspect. As a candidate, each of you must have processed hundreds of candidates. There are candidates that come into the system for a particular job rec. They go through the system, they keep dropping off at various points of time. Some of them voluntarily drop off because they don't want to stay so long in the process, the time to hire is long, etc., which can be handled by candidate experience and doing things fast. And there are candidates that will involuntarily drop off because there are specific aspects of the job that the candidate doesn't meet. But does that mean the candidates who dropped off can never ever be hired by organization? The answer is absolutely no. There are multiple other roles, multiple other profiles that might need a part or significantly large chunk of what a candidate already possesses. Now you have two choices. Let's assume we get the candidate back on board, attach him to another requisition and take him through the entire process, or ensure that what he's already been assessed on doesn't get assessed again. So that's the process of reuse that we will talk about. But to get there, to the point of reusing candidate data, there's a bunch of things that all of us need to do more at a hygiene level in our recruitment systems, and that's what we'll talk about in the masterclass there as well. So while we will do the masterclasses now, and we've curated a bunch of customers, some from experts from our side, as well as partners, and Sanjay spoke about how it's not that we want to do everything alone, right? It's not possible. We need customers, we need partner support, and Microsoft has been an absolutely brilliant partner for us, one of the partners that has energized our process of getting to the market and insta-hiring. It's important that we believed, and that's the difference that we believe that we have in the conference, is that in the morning session today, we are focused only specifically on recruitment. It's not so much about leaders speaking about experiences, because that's important as well. But I think it's you as the recruiters, people who are front-ending, people who are handling candidates day in, day out, that need to imbibe this. They say practice makes a man perfect, right? Our masterclass or 101 sessions are targeted at building the building blocks of insta-hiring. But is that enough? That's absolutely not. So it needs to get built further. These are just the foundation blocks. How do we build it further? To make it more engaging, to make it more connected, we are launching what is called as the Trailblazer program. Every attendee here today is going to get insta-hiring certificate at the end of the day. This is just a recognition of the fact that you have soaked in some of the inputs that's coming in. Mind you, everything is not going to be absolutely new here. There's a bunch of stuff that you already do. There are pieces that you do. There are bits that you already do. And that was amply evident from the insta-hiring readiness survey that we distributed to many of you, and we got some of the responses. I'm sure we get more responses as we go along. From the responses, it's amply evident that there are certain aspects of the TA process that you've been able to build elements of RAR, and there are others that you've not been able to build. There are those that are well ahead of in terms of the learning curve, in terms of implementing all three elements of RAR across the process. There are others that are just getting started. So there's a huge diversity there as well. So while we do the masterclasses now. It's important for us to ensure that that gets sustained, and that's what we will do, the Trailblazer program going ahead. So step number 1, all of you attending here, which is an absolutely brilliant thing. Step number 2, you get a certificate that says that you're certified to propagate Insta hiring in your respective organizations and in the TA community. Let me just take a few steps into the Trailblazer program. What's the objective? The objective is to identify passionate talent acquisition professionals who are focusing specifically and singularly on reducing time to hire. And we spoke about how reducing time to hire is a silver bullet that will impact everything else. Rationale for the program is to inculcate this at operational level across the industry. The more you inculcate bits and pieces of Insta hiring into your process, the faster you will be able to reap the rewards of being ready to handle the challenges the new generation is going to throw at you. And third, the eligibility. First level eligibility is all the people who participate in this program, who have been a part of this program, will be eligible to carry on the Trailblazer program itself. What we intend to do over the period of the next year is that engage with each of you at regular intervals of time. Many of them would be more detailed, in-depth interactions on each of the elements that we are looking at today. Many of them could be new concepts, and we expect to hear back from you in terms of how you started implementing some of the things that you're learning. The intent is, unless you do what you learn, there's no way it can stay. It will just get thrown out of the window. And you will present evidences, case studies of how we've implemented some of the aspects of Insta hiring in your respective companies, and it will get evaluated by an eminent jury of HR professionals that we've curated. And the program, so it's more like a leaderboard kind of a thing, where every quarter we will announce 6 star trailblazers for that quarter, people who have really pushed the envelope, who have really pushed hard in trying to implement the Insta hiring process and found success in it. And at the TalQuest 2020, which is about a year from now, we will honor 25 of them, 25 of you, just to ensure that we don't lose out on the rest of the community. This program will be an ongoing program, so we will continue to run this online. So this is a physical event, but there will be online events where we will, just like the flash event that Sanju spoke of, which is one type of event. We will also run an online webinar event where we will try to engage with far more TA professionals and try to get this program up and running. And we will get to the top 25 list, which will get, we will have an honor for them in the TalQuest 2020. So kind of summarizing the process, learnings from webinars at TalQuest, implementing learnings at your company, preparing case studies and seminars and documents, and finally becoming trailblazers and be recognized in the industry as people who started very early in the entire Insta hiring process.